They can't just like fart on demand, like, oh, all right, I gotta fart. No, like their body's like going through the troubles and stuff. I guess it kind of feels like, when you have bubble guts, sorry. When you have bubble guts, yeah, and your tummy starts having like those tummy troubles. So it probably feels the same way if I had to.
Baby, I paint the sky blue. My greatest creation was you.
Hey everybody, welcome to Kale Cupcakes and Diapers. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, especially if you're interested in healthy-ish eating or anything dealing with babies and kids. And follow me on Instagram at Kale Cupcakes and Diapers. All right, enough of that promo. Let's get started. I had a really rough night last night. From about 1 a.m. to 8 a.m., my son woke up twice an hour crying for what seemed to be no reason. He was inconsolable, he was yelling, he was screaming, and no matter really what I did, he wouldn't stop crying. So that made me think, how many other parents are going through this and don't even know what's wrong with the baby? I know what's wrong with my son. I have a colicky child, and you might have one as well. A colicky baby is defined as a baby who cries at least 3 hours a day for 3 times out of the week. And during these crying, it's not normal baby cries, right? Because a lot of babies are crying throughout the day, right? That's how they talk to you. That's how they tell you what they need. They're hungry. They need to be changed. They're tired. But when the baby is screaming as if he or she is in severe pain or really uncomfortable, that's how you can kind of differentiate between a regular crying baby and one who may have colic. My son has been a colicky baby since about 2 months, and that's typically when it begins. Usually, babies start to experience colic.
I'm not sure if it's colic or colic. Colic. I'm gonna say colic.
Babies usually experience colic starting at 6 weeks, and it usually ends around 3 to 4 months. That's 50% of babies. But then by 9 months, 90% of babies are usually over this whole unfortunate stage. Every now and then, my son will have a situation. Now, by definition, he isn't a colicky baby anymore because he does not cry inconsolably for 3 hours, 3 times a week. However, during certain times, he's definitely like yelling and screaming, and his behaviors are very similar to those babies who have colic. In addition to yelling and screaming, as I've mentioned, they usually like tighten up, so their legs will come up into their belly and then they'll shoot them legs back out, and it becomes very stiff. He or she may also like have his or her hands like this, yelling and screaming, which shows that they're like really tense. So those are some of the like bodily things that babies do to let you know that potentially your baby may have colic. No one really knows what causes colic. Gas definitely seems to be a factor, as well as their immature digestive system, which causes kind of like this pain. Unfortunately, babies are brand new. Their bodies are just learning how to work outside of the womb. So it's kind of understandable from a logical standpoint that, it's going to take some time and this process can be painful, which it seems to be. The good news, though, is that colic is not dangerous to the baby. It's uncomfortable and it might be painful, but at least you know that there isn't anything serious that needs to happen. Sometimes you also might hear like grunting, like, or it sounds like they're straining or whatever, which also kind of goes with that, immature digestive system. They can't just, fart. Sorry, I think that's a funny word. But they can't just like fart on demand, like, oh, all right, I gotta fart. No, like their body's like going through the troubles and stuff. I guess it kind of feels like, when you have bubble guts, Sorry. When you have bubble guts, yeah, and your tummy starts having like those tummy troubles. So it probably feels the same way if I had to assume. Every baby has an immature digestive system just based on their age. However, not every baby becomes a colicky baby. So we can't say that the immature digestive system causes the colic. But what I've noticed in my experience is a lot of times when my baby, especially my son right now, when he's yelling and screaming, is because he has gas. And it's crazy because it's kind of like a never-ending cycle. You have gas, it hurts, you're yelling and screaming and crying. When you're yelling and screaming and crying, you're taking in all this air, which is leading to what? Gas in the body. Now you have more gas. Now you're really yelling and screaming and crying because it hurts, right? And because you're really yelling and screaming, you're taking in more air. So guess what? More gas is coming into the body. So it's kind of like a never-ending, circle of of gassiness, essentially, that the babies can't relieve themselves. I have 6 tips that might help you relieve some of this gassiness that are found in colicky babies that will hopefully help your baby be more comfortable and calm. The first thing that you have to do is burp your baby. Now, I know this sounds like so simple, but for some reason, I never burp my babies. It is just like something that doesn't click. I naturally don't burp a lot, so sometimes it's hard for me to even fathom a burp. Like, what's a burp? A lot of times when my baby is crying and I just give him a nice pat on the back and burp, that usually relieves some of it. Now, a burp isn't just gonna take away all the pain, but it definitely contributes to releasing some of that gas that is built up in the baby's stomach. The second thing that you can do is that when you're feeding the baby, you need to make sure that your baby isn't laying flat. So whether you're breastfeeding or bottle feeding, you need to make sure that the baby is in an elevated position. Also, if you are bottle feeding, I do suggest getting you anti-colic bottle. I love Dr. Brown. It has kind of like a tube inside of it, which helps really minimize the amount of air that the baby is taking in while taking the bottle. Another thing that I like to do that has really helped is lay my son over my lap. So my knees are kind of in his stomach and his legs are dangling down on the side. You know, sometimes that pressure helps force like a fart out. So it's kind of like, I guess, like a whoopee cushion, you know? It's like filled up. Actually, that's a really good analogy. Good job. It's like a whoopee cushion. So, you know, when you blow up, as soon as you see that fart, you go, right? That's exactly what happens. So when I lay my son on my lap and I like kind of have my knees in his stomach, it's kind of like squeezing and compressing his little belly, which is kind of like squeezes out some of that gas, which is really helpful. And a lot of times he will fall asleep on my lap. So the lap thing is really, really good. So definitely try that to see if that helps soothe your baby. Fourth suggestion that you can do is when you're carrying your baby, there's 2 things you can do. When you're holding the baby as if you're burping him, like kind of push him or her into your shoulders, squeeze them. And this again kind of works just like the knees. It kind of just lets out that air that's in their stomach. You can also hold them like this. Your forearm is again across their stomach, which is pushing in and helping them to be able to relieve a lot of that gas. The 5th suggestion that I'm going to mention is bicycle kicks or pushing your baby's knees into their stomach, trying to get them to squeeze and compress their stomach so the farts and the poop can come out. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is this. Full disclosure, I have never used this, but I did buy it because 1, it has like over 7,000 4.5, 5-star reviews on Amazon. But then 2, if I ever really got desperate, I would use this. Called Fridababy Windi, the gas passer. Okay, so this, what you do is simply, you have to massage the baby's belly downward, right? So I guess going like that. You lubricate the Windi, which is this. This is oh my gosh, this thing is long. All right. Okay. This is the first time that I've opened it. So you lubricate this little tip. This ain't no little tip. This big tip. Lift the baby's legs up as if you're about to change a diaper. And speaking of diapers, it says, have a diaper ready. Trust us, it could get messy. That's what it says. Then you put it inside of their butt. Listen for, it's gonna whistle only after a few seconds. And then as soon as you do that and it starts whistling, apparently poop is supposed to shoot out. If you do use this, I mean, they give you 1, 2, that's 10. They look like they give you 10 Windis. I wouldn't use it too much just because you want your baby to be able to learn how to poop on his or her own, right? You don't always want to have to assist because then they'll never develop the skills to do it by themselves. So I would really just use that as like a last desperate measure. And I'll definitely try the other tips, the other 5 tips or however many I mentioned before to try to help the baby pass the gas naturally. That's the end of my tips. I hope that something here will help you with your colicky baby. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, write a message down below. I'll be sure to respond. I know these are definitely difficult times. We're on low sleep. We're tired, we're probably stressed, and then it's not helping with this coronavirus and all the other crap that's going on in the world. So it's definitely a difficult time to be a mom, especially a new mom. But I promise you, things will get better, and this is just a phase that'll soon be gone with the wind. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.